listening to The Mark Moses Show on Sports Radio 95.9 The Fan.
Hey, good afternoon. Hope everyone's enjoying their day. Yes, my name is Mark, and this is the new Mark Moses Show, only right here on Sports Radio 95.9 The Fan. Right now here on the Club 52 hotline, one of my favorite follows on Twitter, and I love his work with Sports Illustrated. His name is Richard Deitsch, covers everything for sports and media and just everything overall. Great guy. Richard, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Appreciate the invite.
Hey, yeah, I really appreciate it. I follow you all the time, read always your sports media column. And I want to start with what I've been talking about nonstop for the past 2 days, the NCAA Tournament. CBS, Turner, I think they do a great job with all the different TV coverages and even their mobile app. What are your thoughts? A guy who covers sports media, what are your thoughts on how CBS and Turner have covered the tournament?
I think they've done a good job. I mean, one of the things that one of the reasons why I think the tournament is a much better product for viewers now than it was 4 or 5 years ago is that you as a viewer have the option to be your own producer, meaning, in the old days, CBS, you'd rely on a CBS producer who would take you to a buzzer beater. Maybe they take you 30 seconds before the end of the game. Maybe they take you 10. Now, as long as you have True TV and, most people who have cable have TNT and TBS, you're essentially your own sort of conductor, and you can pick what game you want. If you want to watch your team from start to finish, you can. If you want to go to 4 different games in the course of one window, you can do that as well. So I think production-wise, the tournament is really, really good. When it comes to broadcasters and talent, it's all subjective. Some people, like Jim Nantz, Greg Anthony. Some people don't. That's always going to be majorly subjective in the same way studio shows are subjective. But I think the production of the tournament has been really good, as long as you have True TV in particular. The tournament is really, really well done. Obviously, if you have an iPad or an iPhone and you subscribe to March Madness on Demand, same deal. Just the access that you now have as a consumer is at an all-time high.
I like you brought that up about the mobile app. I know Grant Hill is killing it to death in those commercials, but I'm actually watching it on my Kindle. Like I'm one of these people doing it, and especially with that and that new WWE app as well. Is this kind of where we're going now with the future of sports broadcasting? That idea of what you said, you're in control, you're the producer, and what you want to watch?
I think we're there. I mean, the thing is, like you said, you have access to so many elements of mobile watching. We're an ambulatory society, so the idea that whether it's watch ESPN, whether it's March Madness on Demand, you can really be anywhere at this point, and in particular, obviously, if you subscribe to cable, in that cable universe, you can almost watch anything wherever you are. So we're there. The question is, how specific are we going to be? Turner and CBS for the semifinals of the NCAA tournament are going to be doing teamcasts. So you'll be able to watch the semis on TBS, traditional broadcast, Nance, Greg Anthony, Steve Kerr, et cetera, but on True TV and on TNT, they're going to be specific broadcasts oriented to those teams. Much more of a homer kind of broadcast. So that, this is where sort of experimentation is taking place in that, we're for the NCAA tournament, we're not going to get team-specific broadcasts in the way ESPN experimented with the national championship, giving you a coach's room and giving you a second room where people were, you could sort of watch people talking about the game as if you were at a bar as opposed to the regular broadcast. So these are, the world of television and second screen viewing is just going to sort of continue to improve and experiment and, again, as long as you have these devices, you're in for interesting viewing.
We're here with Richard Deitsch, Sports Illustrated. Give him a follow. It's a great one on Twitter, Richard Deitsch. And, you bring up the semifinals are going to be on TBS. It's never happened before because usually it's just on free broadcast TV like CBS. Are you in favor of this? Because I want it to be free. I don't think everything should be on cable for a paid subscription.
Yeah, I'm of sort of an old school in that I think championships should still be on over-the-air TV. Now, the college football championship is not. It's now on ESPN, and the NCAA tournament semifinals are going to be on cable as well. I'm with you. I think for the major events, it does sort of bother me that there are people in this country who will not be able to see it because it's now on cable. I don't expect the Super Bowl to ever go to cable. I'd be surprised if the championship games ever go to cable. But, slowly but surely, we're seeing a lot of major events that 15 years ago were not on cable are now on cable. Even look at the NHL. I mean, the NHL is essentially a cable final now with the Stanley Cup. I shouldn't say totally. The NBC does have a couple games, but majority of the playoffs are on NBC Sports Network. So this is sort of the world we live in now, but I'm sort of the belief that the big events, the big championships, I think should still be on over the air.
Well, you look at Major League Baseball, which first pitch, opening day is Monday, which I'm still shocked by. But you look at Fox Sports, usually they have that game of the week Saturdays, on regular free TV. But is a lot of that going to go to Fox Sports 1 to try to help that cable channel?
Yeah, I don't have the exact schedule in front of me. I'll see if I can pull it up as I'm talking to you. But
oh, you're fine, man.
Yeah, there are far less games this year on Fox than there have ever been before. I want to say there's like 12 games on Fox over-the-air, Big Fox, and like 41 or 42 on Fox Sports 1. Fox Sports 1 will also have a round of the playoffs. And obviously one of the big reasons that has existed is because Fox Sports 1 needs programming to build their network. So it's a big change. It's a big change for viewers. We'll see how viewers react. But if I'm correct about this, and now I have it in front of me, essentially the first 9 weeks of the season, you are going to get games on Fox Sports 1 on Saturday, where traditionally you got the Saturday game of the week on Fox. I think the first Fox game is May 24th, 7 o'clock, Cardinals, Reds, Nationals, Pirates, Royals, Anaheim. So think about that. You're not if you don't have Fox Sports 1 or access to it, you're not getting a major Saturday game until May. That's a major change, and the reason for that change, obviously, is that Fox wants to build their new cable network up and get more viewership.
We're here with Richard Deitsch, Sports Illustrated. Well, sticking on that with Fox, I know Tim McCarver, he's not going to be doing the calls anymore, Joe Buck. It's Harold Reynolds and Tom Bertucci. What are your thoughts on this move with the three-man booth then?
I would not have been my choice. I'm not a big Harold Reynolds guy. I find him pretty vanilla, not really a sabermetrics guy, very establishment or too establishment for my taste. But I think the three-person booth with Verducci and Reynolds, I think it's going to be okay. Obviously, I've worked with Verducci a long time. I'm not really objective when it comes to his work. I think he's great. I think he'll do a good job. He's prepared. He's really smart. So I think they have a very good game caller in Joe Buck, and I think the two voices will have strengths and weaknesses, and I think they'll make it work. My guess is that there were so many people who sort of disliked Tim McCarver, whether that was legitimate criticism or criticism for the sake of criticism, that I think people will like the change merely because McCarver's not there.
Yeah, that's a good point. And, just going back to Fox Sports 1, it launched, the last Labor Day?
August 17th.
August. Yeah, something like that. I mean, what are your thoughts on how the programming's been? Because personally, when I watch the thing at night, their Sports Center clone, I just kind of feel like there's too much going on screen. There's too many jokes, I just want to see the highlights. I mean, is it wrong to say that?
No, I think that show has to figure out what it is. It is very hard, though, to figure out what the sports viewer wants at 11 o'clock on a sports and highlights show. This is what ESPN producers have been trying to figure out for a long time, and they obviously have the massive advantage because they have a 30-year head start. They're outrating Fox Sports Live basically by 15-fold. I think Fox Sports Live's biggest issue, they have to figure out what they are. They went at the beginning for this amorphous kind of idea of we're more fun than ESPN. This is a show where, we don't take sports as seriously. We want to have fun. You should hang out with us. That didn't work or hasn't worked, one. And two, I would subscribe to the idea that you, as a sports fan, you want a recap of the day, and while you don't want it to be as sober as like PBS, there has to be a little bit of seriousness to it because sometimes news happens that is just not positive news. So I think in your end, there's no doubt that there are people who just want highlights. They don't want debate. They don't want a debate desk or a forum desk like Fox Sports Live has. The one thing that I know for sure is that show needs tweaks. They have a lot of work to do still because they have not gotten any traction on SportsCenter.
I'm going to give you the analogy. When I go visit my dad, He's still old school where he's like, he'll watch, Fox or CBS or ESPN. He's like, okay, I want to see my Bulls highlights. So he sits there and he waits and he waits. And I'm like, look, dude, I show him my iPhone. I show him the score. I show him the clip. Isn't that where we're just kind of going? And this goes back to the mobile app. I don't have to wait for you to try to give me the clips anymore. I mean, shouldn't that, where we go, just give me what I want then?
Well, there's no doubt that they're, we are certainly heading to like niche-specific kind of sports highlights in that if you have the right apps, the right team stream, you can get highlights just on your team. I think there's always going to be a place. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think there's always going to be a place for like a clearinghouse at the end of the night, whether it's 1 o'clock or 11 o'clock Eastern time, to get you basically caught up on the day in sports if you missed it. I think there's value there because I think people want to be educated about what has happened nationally in sports. But there's no doubt that sports ultimately is so regional, so local, that most people really do want, first and foremost, to find out what their specific team did and the highlights of that team. The world we live in now with the web, you just have so much access to footage that if you're a little bit web savvy, you'll be able to find highlights long before an ESPN or a Fox Sports Live will give it to you.
Yeah, it's a good point. Let me end with this, and I appreciate coming on. We're here with Richard Deitsch, Sports Illustrated. Give him a follow on Twitter. It's a good one, Richard Deitsch. The SEC Network. I mean, look, I'm here in Florida. It's Gator country, SEC country. We get commercials every 2 seconds. It's coming. We'll see you in August. What are your thoughts on the impact that the SEC Network can make on the landscape of college football?
I think it's going to have a great impact in SEC country, in SEC cities or cities that are very heavy into SEC, especially football. So, the Birminghams and places like Atlanta, places like that, Tallahassee, Jacksonville. I think the SEC Network has a chance to be really, really, I don't want to say good because we'll see what the product is, but it has a chance to be successful and for people to watch it because I think the fervor for SEC sports is so great in, those areas, your areas as well. We'll see what the production is, though. A lot of these networks, the proof becomes, are you just like a house organ for everything about the conference or the sport, or do you have a little bit of independence? And, when something goes wrong in that conference, are you going to report it? The conference, the network's going to make money no matter what. I think there's going to be money there. I think there are going to be advertisers who want to be part of it. But I hope the SEC, and let's put it this way, the jury is out, and I'm a little skeptical. The SEC network is a little better than the Big Ten network has been because the Big Ten network is pretty much, in my opinion, for the most part, obligated its responsibilities when it comes to editorial or journalism. They really did that with the Penn State stuff. So I hope if stuff happens in the SEC network, at least at a minimum, covers it as a news place would cover it. I don't expect them to be 60 Minutes, but at the same time, I don't expect them to be the house organ of the conference. We will ultimately, as viewers, see what they are.
And what about Tim Tebow? Is he just like one of these props they have? Like, here's Tebow. Here's his thoughts on the Gators. How do you think they're going to handle him?
I think, listen, he's famous, and I think that's a big advantage for ESPN in that he needs no introduction. He'll be the most famous person on that network. But I was pleasantly surprised with his analysis at the national championship game. He was pretty smart. He was able to describe defenses and play calling in a manner that as a viewer I understood. So my expectations of Tebow were super, super low as an SEC network analyst, and they've raised a little bit because I thought he was pretty good on the national championship stuff. We'll see. My sense is that he's going to be better than you expect, and I think he's going to work hard at being good. Does that mean he's going to be a good analyst? No. But I think unlike a lot of people who just sort of show up for work who are former jocks turned broadcasters, I think the guy's going to work at it. And generally speaking, you talk to enough producers and executives as I had, you work at it and you work hard at it, you treat it like a real job, you're 95% of the way home. Great stuff. Richard, what are you working on for this week then? What's going on with Sports Illustrated? That's a good question. For us, it's just we're very knee deep in the basketball tournament, which starts Thursday, and me in particular on top of media, I'll be coming the women's basketball regional 8-round, and then the Final Four and the final. So that's where I'm heading next. Yeah, you're a busy man. Good stuff. Richard Deitsch, Sports Illustrated. Richard, I appreciate your time. Always love the insight, and I hope I can get you on again. You got it, man. Thanks for the invite.